crusade.
All right, we're back with the BD podcast. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. It is October 1st in God's country, Western Oklahoma. It is a cooling 62 degrees, and we have a special guest, Mr. Mike Sparks, Superintendent. Thanks for being here.
Oh, I appreciate the invite. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I wasn't sure, kind of after some of these podcasts with Emery Mertz, Andrew Albert, that you would agree to be on here. So it's an honor to have you on here. Kind of just wanted to start out, kind of tell us about yourself. How long have you been in Elk City? Where, your background, where'd you come from? Just whatever you want to share.
So this is starting my 5th year at Elk City as the superintendent here. It is my 32nd year overall in education. I started out teaching and coaching. All I really wanted to do was be a baseball coach. And I share this story just because I think it's so funny. Dr. Mary Aspidon at Southwestern, the first night I go to get my master's degree, I'll never forget, I tell her, Dr. Aspidon, I said, I think I've made a huge mistake. Don't think I'm going to come back after tonight. I'm a baseball coach. And I'll never forget, she said, well, can you stick around till the end of the class? And I said, yeah, I'm going to stay the whole night. I really like you. And so get ready to leave that night at 9 o'clock. And she said, hey, how many kids are on your baseball team? And I said, I've got like 45. And she said, okay, how many kids are in the high school? And I said, 600. And she said, so influencing 45 is more important to you than 600. And I wish she'd have just told me, hey, you're a loser, get out of here. But no. And, one of the things about education is there's such an opportunity to impact people. And she made such an impact on me that night. It made me really think. And again, I think I'm the first person in my family that went on to college. That's something that was so important to my parents. My mother grew up on a dairy farm in the panhandle of Oklahoma. She would love to tell you the story. She said, I got to OU and there were other students. And she said, I was home by October. Her closest neighbor was 7 miles away. So she said, I probably did too much and didn't go to enough classes. And so I just remember from an early age, my parents saying, it was something that was important to them because they didn't. And so education and baseball really shaped where I'm at today. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. And so to get to be the superintendent here and to give back and hopefully create opportunities for other students that were in the same place I was, needed somebody to tell them that there was something bigger and better if they're willing to work for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, that's the same thing. I remember going to Stillwater. First week, I called my mom. I said, hey, I don't know if I can do this. About 5 minutes later, my dad called me. He goes, son, let me tell you something. You're going to do this. I said, well, okay, I guess I don't have a choice right now.
Absolutely.
No, well, I tell you what, I was thinking of, this podcast last night, and obviously you have two younger kids. Well, one at Stillwater now,
yes.
Which I think is awesome. But how was the transition moving your family from you were living in Chickasha, right?
Yes.
How was that transition? You moving your family, telling them, saying, hey, we're packing up, we're going to Elk City, Oklahoma. Kind of tell us about that. How'd they feel about it?
So I've shared this story with people, but I think it's worth telling. And especially I tell people all the time, because I didn't grow up here. And so if you've been here your whole life, I think sometimes you forget just what a great place this is. And so there's 2 stories out of this. When we came out here, now my son, who's a 9th grader, all he wanted to know was, what's it like to slide on turf? The baseball fields have turf. What's that like? My daughter was going to be a freshman in high school. And I remember we went to the schools and they took her on a tour and everything. And that gets over and we're going to go back to the board meeting that night and be hired. And I remember driving around and we're looking at a few places to live. And we pulled over in this parking lot because Alex is just not saying a word, just quiet. And I said, hey, is there something we need to talk about? She said, I don't want to talk about it. And I pulled over and I got in the back seat and I said, listen, if there's something you need to tell me, I said, in about an hour, we're going back to this board meeting. They're going to hire me and we're going to move here. She said, I don't want to talk about it. I just don't want to do this. I don't want to talk about it. So we go to the board meeting that night and you walk in and she's just against this, right? Mm-hmm. And I watched as the board meeting went on and I watched her shoulders kind of lower and I saw her kind of smile and laugh. And anyway, we get in the pickup to go back to Chickasha that night after they've hired me. And she says, Mom, Dad, I owe you guys an apology. And I said, for what? She said, well, I don't know what was wrong with me earlier, but I'm really excited about coming to Elk City. And I said, well, what changed? And she said, these people are just really nice. And I don't think they're fake. I think they really mean it. And so we get here, and then you fast forward now, she's getting ready to leave to go to Stillwater this summer. And she says, Dad, I wish we'd have moved to Elk City earlier. Those 4 years went really fast. Man, I had a great time. A lot of good friends. And so it just worked out, had the opportunity to come here. It starts out with kind of a serious, I don't want to do this, to, hey, these people are nice. And she's right, to, I wish we'd have moved here earlier. So full circle. I tell people all the time, and I will never stop telling this story, this is a good place. And if you've never been anywhere else and you don't have it to compare it to, this is a good place. It's a good place to go to school. It's a good place to live. It's a good place to raise your family.
No, you're 100% accurate. We've talked about it in numerous podcasts. I mean, we take it for granted. I take it for granted. I was gone for 4 years when I was in college, immediately came back. And I mean, Stillwater was a great place, made a lot of good friends, a lot of good people up there, but there's no small town in Oklahoma, in America, like Elk City, Oklahoma. I mean, people are just genuine. They care about their community. I mean, I can say, and I know you know this, but I mean, the people that invest in the school system and that care about the school system, those same people have been, I mean, you have new people who have moved in, but those same people have been caring and giving to that school system for years upon years, and they do it because they believe in Elk City and believe in Elk City schools. And so, I mean, getting to know you over the last years has been just amazing, and I appreciate everything you've done for this community.
Well, I just want to be a part of it. I appreciate what you're saying. I want to be a part of it. I tell people all the time, and again, you go back to those people involved in this community. I've been in a lot of different schools, and all of them have a graduation ceremony or a scholarship, thing. Mm-hmm. And I, as a high school principal, would give away a lot of scholarships, and you would say, on behalf of this family, I'm here to award or whatever. And I remember my first year here, and it's like, hey, you just wait till the brown and white. Okay, Yeah. But when you experience for the first time, and you see that for every scholarship that's given, there's someone from that family. They've driven in from miles away, or they're here, whatever. But they tell their story, and you can just see and feel how much it means to that family to be supporting that Elk City graduate that's going on and doing something. It's special. And part of that, I was asked a question this last summer, a legitimate question, and it was, do you ever feel like sometimes the school takes for granted how much the community supports it? And does the school make sure that it supports the community back? And that was, I thought, a really fair question. And it's kind of led us to where we are now. We've started something, and it's simple, but what I like about it is it doesn't have a lot of ground rules. So we started, so every place has a mission statement. Our kids will be lifelong learners that can, in an adapting society, all those things. And we're just simply now calling it For the Brown and White. And what does that look like? Well, all of these kids that come through here every year at senior exit interviews tell me that they know this community cares about them. That's a big thing to them. And they'll say, if I could be superintendent, that's one thing you need to make sure never changes, that the kids know how much this community cares about them. So that's kind of where we're going with this brown and white. So being for the brown and white doesn't mean winning ball games.
Right.
I put something out the other day. Last week, we started our aviation class this year, and that's been fun. So I got to deliver the drones and their aviation T-shirts the other day to the class. And so I've got my hands full of boxes, and I'm walking up to the high school, and there's a student getting ready to walk in. I'd say she was a freshman. I didn't know her for sure. And I'm about to say, could you please hold that door for me? She turns around and sees me, holds the door. I don't know if she knows me, don't know. She holds the door. I said, thank you so much. She said, you're welcome. And but that's not just at the high school, and it's not just that one instance. We still have a lot of kids that care about others, that want to do the right things, that want to do about things. And so her holding the door for me, that's for the brown and white. That student that's studying to make good grades on their exam, that's for the brown and white.
Absolutely.
That teacher that gives of their extra time to support the prom, to support after school tutoring, all of those things for the brown and white. Another story, I shared this the other day. Greg Cheney is our school resource officer, one of them. Greg actually works for the city of Elk City, but he represents the school system. And I'll never forget coming out of a board meeting one night, and I see this family walking across the street. We're just standing out by Greg's patrol car, and this family comes over, and the little kids ask him if he has a sticker. And of course he does, and gives it to him. And then the parents say, they want to know if we could take a picture in front of your patrol car. Greg says, 100%, absolutely. Kneels down in front of the patrol car. The kids get with him, and they take a picture. And I just looked at him, and I said, that's for the brown and white. Those kids will remember that forever. The other day, we had an instance where a couple of our coaches that are new and young don't have their CDLs yet. Well, we bought 2 new little buses for them to take. What put a little bit of a problem. We had junior high softball, we had cheerleading, we had so many people and not enough drivers. Brandon Shelton, on about 5 minutes' notice, cancels his plans for the evening and takes the junior high softball team to a tournament because he has a CDL. That's for the brown and white. Yep. And we want to make sure that our kids, again, they already know the community cares, but they are the future leaders of this community 10, 15 years down the road, the firefighters, the policemen, the mayor, the city council members, so that this doesn't go away, because it is special, and we want to make sure we do our part to fit in and make sure our kids understand what we hope their responsibility is somewhere down the road, so that senior 20 years from now, when they graduate, says this community cares about us and we know that they want what's best.
Oh, 100%. No, and it's cool. And outside looking in, it's cool watching those. I mean, like Mr. Cheney and your other resource officer,
Melissa Valencia.
Yes, I mean, just unbelievable. And the kids know they care about them. They're not there to scare the kids. Right. They're there for the kids and to protect them. And that's pretty cool. Another thing I was thinking about last night. What was kind of, and I'm not trying to put you on an island here, but like, what was kind of your toughest task when you came in Elk City schools and outside and just overlooking everything, kind of where we were as a school system? Because we went through some trying times. My kids were young, and I didn't see exactly everything going on. But what did you kind of see when you came in? Where do we need to be better? What do we need to do culture-wise? Everything. Kind of tell me about that.
I think for me personally, and I'm not going to say that it was necessarily somebody doing something wrong. So right. let me say that. Right. I think they had a lot of programs in place with a lot of great intentions, but there were so many things going on that I think at times it muddied the water for what was our main purpose. What were we trying to accomplish? And again, it's not that somebody did something wrong. They had great intentions.
Oh, yeah.
But I think you can muddy the water about. I still believe that the number one thing that is responsibility of a school is teaching kids to learn to read, write, math, science, think. There's other parts of that go with it, but that ability to be able to read and do math and science sets you up for whatever possibilities down the road. It doesn't put you in a box. It opens that box up. And so as a high school principal, before I became a superintendent, I was at Anadarko for 14 years. I was a coach and a teacher, and then when my kids were born, they gave me an opportunity to be an administrator. And I'll never forget, we were an F school. And people can say what they want about school report cards. And yes, has anybody ever came up to me and said, hey, you got a D on the school report card, you guys aren't doing very well? No. But I do believe that the community knows about it, and I do believe there are times that maybe we lost some students to other school districts because it was perceived that maybe we weren't meeting the needs of our kids here. So back to Anadarko, it's an F school, and I remember when I was hired, the new superintendent said, hey, we've won at sports here for a long time. Why can't we win at academics? And she said, you've got one goal. She said, I want to be just as successful at academics as we are the sports. And I remember rallying the teachers, and we just talked about what's it look like to be a good teacher? What's it look like to help our kids, support our kids? Anyway, what I like to tell people is we didn't fire people. We didn't go buy a magic program. As a group, we agreed to roll up our sleeves, see where our kids needed extra help, and then make sure we provided it. Well, within 4 years, we were a B school. We went from about $1 million a year in scholarships to our graduating seniors to $2.6 million the last year I was there. So what mattered about that was, though, is I saw kids that maybe never thought about as much what they wanted to do after high school start to make plans. Not just college, career choices, career tech choices, military choices, but they started believing they were able to do something more than just go to high school because they were being successful. And it was just rewarding. It was rewarding as a staff to see that with our kids, the excitement. And, the other part of that is some of your discipline went away. I mean, it all works together. Oh, yeah. I saw a deal of pride in that community with, hey, look what our kids are doing. So you fast forward and you come here. And again, I remember I just felt like it was important. The first day that I had officially got the job, I remember I went and met with every principal at their building. I didn't want them to come to the office. It's funny, even now people will come into the superintendent's office and they'll say, well, when I was a kid, the principal was in here and I got in trouble in here one time. And so I've always thought about that. So I like to go to where people, to their spot, so that it's not we're not in trouble. Let's have a conversation. And I just remember laying out this idea for our principals about, here's where we are academically, but here's where we can go. Now, the nice thing was I was able to show them where we were at when I was a high school principal and what was possible. It wasn't just selling you a dream. This is real, and we can do it. And now you fast forward into year 5 here at Elk City, and again, I'll tell this story. There was a time in 2021, only one student in the 8th grade passed the 8th grade math test for the state of Oklahoma in Elk City. 168 kids were considered below grade level. Only one passed. We didn't fire a teacher. We didn't buy a magic program. We've got 3 teachers that roll up their sleeves, work with the kids, and now you've got about 90 out of 120 that are passing it. And the others are so close, and again, you go from whether you want to say what you want to say about the report card, but instead of a D as a middle school, they are a B, and they're an A in student growth. You see the pride of those kids, the increasing confidence of those kids. And again, I've got teachers that are proud of what their kids are doing. And it's not just math. You look at our science scores, we went from being below the state average to we're beating the state average by double-digit scores every year for the last 4 years. Historically, at Elk City, English was always ahead of math, and that has switched. I don't know the reason for that, but we are now excelling in math. English is still growing too, but what we've done in math is just phenomenal, and it's a testament to our teachers and our kids. And so I guess to answer that question, and I muddied the water myself, we focus on one thing and one thing only. We want to benchmark our kids, which simply tells us where a kid is at in a certain point of the year in their education. And if they're struggling, let's go fix that one thing.
Absolutely.
And then we keep moving forward. And so we're taking snapshots of our kids 3 times a year. And as I told teachers when I came here 4 years ago, get good at this. There will not be anything new. This is what we're going to hang our hat on. Get good at it. Our kids will benefit. You're going to feel better about your job. And that's what we've done. And it's where we've been. And again, it doesn't have anything to do with Mike Sparks. It doesn't have anything to do with a magic potion. It has everything to do with a group of adults who have decided that they want what's best for kids, and they're going to roll up their sleeves and work together with the kids to make a difference. And that's powerful.
No, absolutely. I mean, was it last week we had parent-teacher conferences? I was a kindergartner in 2nd grade going to those parent-teacher conferences. You could see that from those teachers and going over that benchmark. And then, I mean, they're excited to show that to you. And, of course, we're proud of our kids for where they were at.
Right.
But it's a test. It's nothing that, we're sitting there, me and Jason were talking, it's nothing that we've done. I mean, the teachers are investing in them daily, and our kids are excited to learn. And that's talking to other families and friends around Elk City. Their kids are excited to learn, and that's pretty cool to see, because it's hard sometimes to get kids excited about, or they want to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's again, one of the things that we've tried to focus on with this For the Brown and White, and I can't take credit for this little saying, but Jeff Henderson that we had speak in August, that was the guy that it's what you're for, right? And I love like his idea. He said, all of us, we can say what we're against. Every one of us can say we're against this, we're against that, and he said if you go and you look at whether it's Fox News, MSNBC, you name it, all of them are spending billions of dollars each year to get those viewers hooked, right? And he said, but what we sometimes fail to talk about is what we're for. And so again, that goes back to we're for the brown and white. We want those kids to have a great education. I personally want Elk City Public Schools to be a great place to work. That's for the brown and white as well. And so when you talk about those things, he talks about all of us in our lives have had jobs that we quit because we didn't like those jobs. But he said, people don't quit a purpose.
Yeah.
If you turn this into a purpose for the brown and white, people don't quit that.
That's right.
And that's where I want this to continue to grow to, because again, you just shared what you experienced.
Yeah.
You've got teachers that love your kids, that want what's best for them. Mm-hmm. And that's being for a purpose, and that's a powerful thing. And so, one of the things I've been sharing with people lately too, there's a lot out there that schools in Oklahoma are 50th in the nation. And I shared this with our staff at the beginning of the year. When you've got over 900 kids that take the math test for the state of Oklahoma, and 80% of them are at or above grade level, that's not 50th in the nation. Yeah. And when you have 16 out of 18 high school juniors get AP credit for English Comp 1 and Comp 2, that's not 50th in the nation. Yeah. So there's a lot of factors that go into that 50th, and we don't need to get into that. But what I'll tell you is Elk City Public Schools are not 50th. The students are not getting a 50th rated education, and our students are not performing at a 50th in the nation outcomes.
Well, you can definitely see that. And another thing I want to talk about, kind of, we've had some big projects going around in Elk City school systems in the past, kind of looking to the future, and I may be getting ahead of myself, and you don't have to share if you don't want to, kind of what are we looking at next as far as any updates to our schools? Just anything in general, kind of what's coming down the pipeline, like bonds or anything like that. Do we have anything in place?
So the elementary school, which was the last really big project as far as a bond, comes off the books in the next 4 years.
Okay.
So somewhere around that 27-28 school year, we will start putting out to the public what we would want to try to accomplish with that next bond issue, which will be 2029 when you can vote it. Okay. Is there anything set in stone? The answer to that is no. Is there some needs that are out there? Yes. Our middle school needs to be our next project, I believe. Now, I'm not going to decide that all on my own, but I do think that that's where, there's a need. We've got, that building has served a great purpose, but your cafeteria is not attached. You've got classrooms that are not attached. So that's the thing. I tell you another thing that I would like to look at, and again, it's going to come down to financials, but I know the long-term plan at one time for that high school was to add on to that north end and make it somewhat of I think at one time they wanted to make it almost like a ninth grade center there. Whether we do that or whatever, it would be nice to be able to add a little bit to the high school. And here's what I envision for it. We are still second only to Yukon Public Schools in the number of students that take concurrent enrollment with Southwestern Oklahoma State University. Now, Yukon has, I don't know, probably 1,200 to 1,500 high school students. We've got 600, and we're second only to them with the number of students getting concurrent enrollment through Southwestern. We put that little portable building behind the high school back by the ag shop because that's where our concurrent classroom is. Southwestern sends their instructors to our campus to offer in-person learning. I would love to be able to create some type of a college career location for our students to have on campus that wasn't just a portable building.
Sure.
Because I think we could continue to grow that program for our students. So I think the middle school is definitely a project. You're also a project there. And then again, it's going to come down to finances and what you're able to do. But those are two of the big ones that I foresee down the road.
Absolutely. No, that's pretty incredible. I didn't know that. I didn't know that fact. I mean, I remember going through high school, and that's one thing I always told myself I'm going to press my kids to do is I took 0 college class. I was one of those kids I was just wanting to get through school, and I loved to learn,
Right.
but it was kind of, when I got up to Stillwater, it was like, oh crud, I might have to take summer classes every summer, and I did. But I was like, man, if I would have done that in high school. And you see all these kids now. I mean, how many college credits did your daughter have going to school?
So my daughter had 24 college credit hours. I mean, she has struggled to find classes this first semester because she's kind of in between. I'm still a freshman, but I'm almost a sophomore.
Yeah.
And she's actually been able to take 2 classes towards her major this first semester instead of just the general ed stuff. So, and the money it saved as a dad, I mean, that's amazing too. And I think the other part too is it gave her so much confidence that she wasn't nervous about, taking classwork at Stillwater. She's already done some of that. And so that part of it too. It's funny you mentioned that about your experience with concurrent. I was not a bad student as far as in trouble or anything like that, but in Laverne, Oklahoma at the time, they gave you a little hard card for your report cards. Well, I signed my mother's name better than she could when I was in high school. And I would say, oh, Mom, I lost that report card and it's $10. I'm doing good. I think I was 19 or 20 out of 24 in my class. I did enough to get by, and I'm not talking D's or F's,
Right.
but a C student. I was going to be a pro baseball player. I don't need this,
Yeah.
And fortunate for me, I made a good enough score on my ACT, and then my parents looked at me and said, I thought you said you were trying hard. Well, maybe not. So, but it's funny how those things, just like it shaped you and what you want for your girls. One of the things that shaped me, and I'll never forget, and I can remember a math class in high school. It's not the teacher's fault. It was Mike Sparks' fault. But how did I make an A on every homework assignment? I was failing every test, got a C in the class. I wish that teacher would have said, hey, something's not right here, and said, Mike, what's going on? What are you doing? And I've shared that story over the years with other teachers. And again, it's Mike Sparks' fault, not the teacher. But if that teacher had said, wait a minute, there's a disconnect here, she'd have found out that I was not doing my homework on my own. I didn't know how to do it, and I wasn't asking for help. And if she could have made me more responsible for showing her that I could do the work.
Sure.
But I will say, again, that has shaped who I've been as an administrator and how I've been able to help some teachers.
Yeah.
There are some kids that you've got to make them show you that they can, or if they can't do it, let's work with them one-on-one and find a way to help them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, most of these teachers are retired now, but I look back now and I didn't take concurrent classes, which I did, but I did have those teachers like Roger Shockey, Mrs. Wood, Mrs. Snipes that pressed you. I mean, basically those were kind of, I felt like when I went to school, they were pressing me just as much as those professors up at Stillwater
Right.
were. I mean, they were truly educators, and you have those in your school system now, but it's just, I mean, when you get those quality educators and they mold those kids, I mean, everything just kind of, falls in place. So one more thing, I'm going to reverse back from when you came to Elk City. I was didn't know you yet, but a gentleman that works here at the dealership, Quentin Nichols, did. And I was kind of apprehensive. I was like, I wonder how Mr. Sparks is going to be. He's friends with Quentin Nichols. And I tell Quint all the time, I was like, man, Quint, you do know some good people. You know that? And I wanted to have him in here today, but we needed to actually get him on the road and have him actually do something that we call work for him today. But I didn't know if Mr. Perky here could delete some stuff out of the podcast if Quint was in here. So no, it's appreciate you coming today. Appreciate just investing in Elk City, and thanks for letting Barber Dyson Ford be a part of investing in the school system. We love it. We will continue as long as these doors are open. And just thanks for being here today.
Oh, again, I want people to know this, that I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to be a part of this school district, but I am so grateful for the opportunity that was presented to be here and do this. And I have enjoyed getting to know you and your family, and that is 100% accurate about you guys supporting the school and being involved. You guys have answered every call I've ever had for anything, and I appreciate it. And this has been a good time, and maybe we can do this again sometime.
Absolutely. Well, hey, that's all we got for today.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Experience the difference.